Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We've got some crucial information to dive into today, and if you're in South Africa or have loved ones relying on social support, this is an absolute must-watch. The South African Social Security Agency, better known as SASSA, has officially revealed the updated grant requirements for June 2025, and this is going to affect millions of people across the country. Whether you're receiving a child support grant, an older person's grant, or the ever-important social relief of distress grant, these new updates could determine whether or not you continue receiving financial support. And trust me, some of these changes might come as a surprise. Now, we all know that grants are often lifelines for families, especially in a country where the unemployment rate is persistently high and where the cost of living continues to increase. Every rand matters. And SASSA's grants have been a key pillar in providing financial assistance to the vulnerable. But like with anything involving government funding, rules and regulations shift. June 2025 is no exception, and SASSA has fine-tuned a number of the criteria, which means it's essential that every grant recipient understands what is required to stay compliant and ensure that payments continue without interruption. Let's begin by talking about what SASSA is emphasizing most this time around: documentation. One of the primary focal points in the updated requirements is the increased importance of having all your supporting documents up to date and accurate. For instance, if you're applying for the older person's grant, it's not just about age anymore, it's about proof of residency, proof of income, and confirmation of your South African citizenship or permanent resident status. And SASSA is now implementing more stringent verification checks on all submitted documentation to curb fraud and eliminate duplicate applications. This means that if you previously got away with submitting blurry copies or outdated papers, that's no longer going to fly. In fact, the agency is now working with other departments such as Home Affairs and the Department of Labor to cross-check data and make sure that each beneficiary is truly eligible. If you're under review and your documents don't match, you may face suspension of your payments until everything is cleared up. So, if you're unsure whether your ID is current or whether your bank details match your application, now is the time to double-check. Now let's talk about one of the most sought-after grants out there, the Social Relief of Distress Grant, which was originally introduced during the pandemic but has since evolved into a regular support line for many unemployed individuals. For June 2025, SASSA has refined the income threshold even further. This means if you're receiving even a small amount from another source, whether it's part-time work, a stipend, or another grant, you could fall outside of the eligibility window. The income threshold for this specific grant has now been pegged at a 624 per month. Yes, you heard that right. That means if your income exceeds this amount by even a few rands, you might be disqualified from receiving the R350 monthly payment. That's why SASSA is urging people to carefully assess their monthly inflows. Any amount that goes into your bank account is now more closely monitored. The system automatically checks this, so if you think it won't catch a deposit from a friend or a cash back from an app, think again. Even small transfers from family or community programs can trigger red flags. SASSA officials have stated clearly that the intention is not to punish people who are trying to stay afloat, but to ensure that those who are truly in need continue to receive the help. Another area receiving a lot of attention in these new requirements is the need for accurate contact information. Over the past year, one of the biggest hurdles SASSA has faced is the inability to reach beneficiaries due to outdated phone numbers or email addresses. For June 2025, it's now mandatory that your contact information is current and responsive. If SASSA attempts to reach you and can't get through, you risk missing important notifications or worse, losing your benefits altogether due to non-response during critical communication periods. So, Updating your contact details is no longer just a recommendation, it's an urgent requirement. And let's not forget about bank account information. SASSA has been working hard to minimize fraud, and one way they're doing that is by tying grant payments strictly to bank accounts that match the applicant's identity. If your bank account is in someone else's name or if the ID number tied to the account doesn't match yours exactly, payments will be delayed or not processed at all. This also means that cash send or post office options are being phased out even more aggressively in June, with the intention to make electronic payments the norm. This might seem inconvenient for some, especially those in rural areas without easy access to banks or smartphones. But SASSA is pushing for this change in the name of security and efficiency. Now, if you're applying for a child support grant, you need to be aware of some important updates in this category too. One of the new requirements for June 2025 is additional proof of school enrollment for children above the age of 5. Yes, that's correct. SASSA is now making it a rule that children receiving support must be enrolled in and attending school unless there is a medically certified reason for exemption. This is being done in collaboration with the Department of Basic Education and is intended to encourage long-term positive outcomes for children. If your child is not in school and there's no valid excuse, your application could be denied or your grant revoked. Moreover, caregivers must now provide regular updates to SASSA when it comes to the living arrangements of children under their care. This includes changes in guardianship, household income, or address. All of these changes must be reported within 30 days, and failure to do so could result in a temporary suspension of benefits. SASSA wants to ensure that every child who receives the grant is indeed being supported in a stable and safe environment. Let's shift gears and talk about disability grants. These are among the most complex to apply for, and the requirements have grown even more intricate this June. One of the biggest challenges people have faced in the past is the validity period of the medical assessment. Now, for June 2025, medical reports submitted must not be older than 3 months at the time of application. That means if you had a report done in February and you apply in June, it won't be accepted. The purpose here is to ensure that the medical condition is still present and continues to impact the individual's ability to earn a living. Furthermore, applicants must now go through a secondary verification by a SASSA-appointed medical officer. This is in addition to the report from your own doctor. While this might seem like extra red tape, it's part of the agency's plan to reduce fraudulent claims and make sure that only those who genuinely cannot work due to a physical or mental condition are receiving assistance. If the SASSA medical officer disagrees with your doctor's findings, your application could be rejected, so it's essential to provide detailed and accurate information during the assessment. If you're someone who has been receiving a disability grant on a temporary basis, you should also take note of the new renewal procedure. Recipients will be required to begin the renewal process at least 30 days before the expiration of their current grant. Failure to do this could lead to a lapse in payments. And once a lapse occurs, the reapplication process becomes even more difficult, requiring new documentation and possibly another medical evaluation. Now, for those of you caring for older persons, or if you're a senior citizen yourself receiving an old age grant, there's one new requirement that may catch you off guard. For the first time, SASSA will now require periodic proof of life submissions. This means beneficiaries must either physically present themselves at a SASSA office or use biometric technology like a fingerprint scan or facial recognition on a designated app or device to prove they are still alive and eligible to receive payments. This initiative is being launched to reduce fraud cases involving deceased individuals whose families continue to collect their grants. If you or a loved one cannot make it to a SASSA office for health reasons, arrangements must be made in advance for mobile verification visits. Now let's talk timing. SASSA has confirmed that all of these new requirements will be in full effect by June 1, 2025. That means you have just a few short weeks to get your paperwork in order, update your information, and ensure that your records meet the new criteria. If you wait until the last minute or assume that nothing has changed, you could find yourself without support when the next payment cycle rolls around. And there's another big reason to pay attention this month: reapplication windows. SASSA has announced that for certain grants, especially the social relief of distress grant beneficiaries, must reapply every quarter. That's every 3 months. So, even if you were approved earlier this year, you must submit a fresh application or confirm your details again in June to continue receiving payments in July. This quarterly verification system is new and mandatory, and failing to comply will result in automatic termination of your benefits. But here's some good news. SASSA is working on making these processes smoother through their online portal and mobile platforms. They've improved the usability of the SASSA website, and more functions can now be done without needing to go to a physical office. For those with internet access, this is a major improvement, saving time and cutting down on travel expenses. But you still need to make sure you follow each step correctly online, or your application might not go through. Double-check your uploads, make sure your files are in the correct format, and always keep a record of your submission confirmation. One last note: be extremely cautious of scammers. Whenever there are changes or updates to grant programs, fake messages and fraudulent phone calls tend to spike. Scammers will try to get your ID number, bank details, or even demand a processing fee to help you apply. Remember, SASSA will never charge you for an application and will never ask for personal details via WhatsApp or unverified email addresses. If something seems off, call the SASSA helpline or visit your nearest office to verify. Your safety and financial security depend on being vigilant. So there you have it, folks. Those are the important grant requirements for June 2025 as revealed by SASSA. From stricter documentation rules to new proof of life standards, updated income thresholds, and enhanced verification processes, the landscape is shifting. But with the right preparation and attention to detail, you can make sure you stay eligible and continue receiving the support you or your loved ones rely on. Stay informed, stay updated, and as always, we'll be right here to guide you through every change and announcement. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions about the new requirements or need help understanding something specific, drop a comment below. We always do our best to reply. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next update.